everyone, I thought I would go live just a couple of minutes early for our Fruit Scones cookery class, just for everyone to start joining us, just for everyone to start getting out all their equipment and ingredients, and so you've got a few minutes before we actually start the class, okay, just for preparation. So don't forget to get your hands washed, apron on if you've got one. I'm going to go and grab mine in 1 second. And just get all your ingredients out ready, equipment, and we'll be making a start at 1:15. Okay, so I'm going to go grab my apron. Okay, right, so as I just said a minute ago, I've come live just a couple of minutes early just to allow people to come and join us. If you've got any questions about any ingredients, any equipment, now's your time to ask before we've made a start. Obviously you can comment as we are going live as well as you're making your fruit scones. Okay, so just make sure you've preheated your oven to 200 degrees, okay, and you've washed your hands. If you've got an apron, put it on, okay, just prevents your clothes getting a little bit floury. So we'll be making a start in a couple of minutes. I am going to be following the recipe cards that I posted yesterday for our fruit scones. Now there is a couple of adaptations, so you can use dried fruits. If you've not got any raisins or dried fruit, there are plenty of other alternatives that you can use. So I actually haven't got dried fruit, so I'm going to be using fresh blueberries. If you've got any chocolate chips, you might want to do chocolate scones. Okay, if you've got any bars of chocolate, you can chop that up as well. So there's plenty of alternatives. If you've got an ingredient and you're not too sure, shall I put that in my scone, shouldn't I? Make a comment, okay, and we'll see what we think. Typical flour is self-raising flour, okay. If you've not got self-raising flour, plain flour with a teaspoon of baking powder, okay, as a raising agent will do the exact same job. So that is perfectly fine. Thank you to those of you that have just joined us. We will be making a start in about a minute or so, okay. So just make sure you've got all your ingredients, your sugar, flour, milk, egg, butter, and your fruit, or whatever filling you decide to put in your scones, and then a mixing bowl, measuring jug, mixing spoon, and then I've just got a little bit of cutlery, okay, just to help measure out. Biscuit cutters. So if you've got a biscuit cutter, it's up to you however or what size you want your scones. If you want mini ones, okay, if you want larger ones. If you've not got a biscuit cutter, do not worry, okay. If you've got a glass, if you've got a mug, if you've got a small bowl, they will do the exact same job when you cut out your scones. Okay, so I'll just go and get some examples, just show you what will work. Right, so just as I said, if you've not got a biscuit cutter, any mug, any glass will do the exact same job. Okay, so have those ready alongside a baking tray. Okay, I've got it lined. If you've not got any grease proof, that is perfectly fine. Okay, the butter within the scones will prevent it sticking as well. So there's lots of other alternatives. Okay, if you have any questions at this point, just pop them in our comments. Okay, thank you to all of you that have joined us for our class so far. Okay, we will be starting any minute. Okay, don't forget to preheat your oven to 200 degrees. Okay, 30 seconds and we will make a start. Okay, thank you for joining. Right, so I will be following the recipe card. If you've had a look at it, okay, great. If not, I'll be guiding you through step by step for adults and children, okay, working at your pace. So if I'm going too fast at any point, let me know, I'll slow right down, okay? I want everyone to be able to take part, okay? So, I think we'll make a start. So thank you to all of you that have joined us today. We are making fruit scones. Now, it is a great recipe. Scones are excellent. Okay, they taste good as well, especially when they're sweet. So the first thing you need to do, if you've only just joined us and you haven't done so already, is preheat your ovens to 200 degrees. Okay, don't go any higher. You don't want your scones to slightly burn on top with being soggy in the middle. 200 degrees will give it a golden colour and it will help it rise as well. Now, I'm going to be weighing out my ingredients live with you. If you've already weighed out your ingredients, you can put it in your bowl as we go along. If not, start weighing out at the same time. So to start with, we need our flour. Okay, so 200 grams of self-raising flour. So place your bowl on your scales, press 0, and we will measure out 200 grams. If you've only got plain flour, at this point is when you want to add your teaspoon of baking powder as well, your raising agent, okay? Oh, going a little bit too, oh no, that's fine. 196, 200, perfect. Okay, so 200 grams of your flour, and then you will need to add into your flour 50 grams of butter. Now, block butter or soft spread butter is perfectly fine. Margarine, it will all do the same job. What I do recommend though, especially if you're using a soft spread, is make sure your hands are really cold. You want to prevent melting that butter. Okay, so run them under the tap for a minute if you need to. So 200 grams of flour, 50 grams of butter. Don't forget to set your scales back to 0. 30. Perfect, 50. Okay. Now the butter and the flour, you're going to be rubbing in together to make breadcrumbs. So you just move your scales out the way. Come back to those later. Now you want to coat that butter with the flour. Okay, it just prevents additional moisture going into it. Break your butter into smaller chunks to make it a little bit more manageable. Okay, with your fingertips. And then you're going to be rubbing those two ingredients together. Okay, now the best way to rub is a circular motion. So using your fingertips and rubbing with your thumb and your finger, a circular motion with those two ingredients to produce fine breadcrumbs. Okay, so keep going with that for a couple of minutes. It will take time, okay, and you will see the two ingredients combined together. Okay, it will go slightly golden in colour as well, which is great. That's it. Don't forget, if you have any questions at any point, okay, comment in the comments below. I'll get back to you live. Okay, if you're unsure about anything, let me know. Okay, so gently lifting those two ingredients together, rubbing between your thumb and your fingertips. Okay, and keep going. Okay, keep going for a couple of minutes. You will start seeing the change, okay, of the texture. So rubbing between. If the butter is sticking to your fingers, just means your hands are slightly warm. Okay, so just run them under that cold tap for 30 seconds and then just pat them dry. Okay, so keep on, remember, circular motion in your bowl. There we go. If you give your bowl a shake, any larger lumps of butter will come to the top, and that will allow you to continue rubbing in those larger lumps so you get your fine breadcrumbs. Okay, so rubbing carefully and slowly. There we go. Okay, that's it. Don't forget, shake your bowl and then you'll be able to continue. That's it, rubbing in. Excellent. I'd love to know what you are putting in your scones, whether you're doing raisins or whether you're doing, I'm doing blueberries or chocolate chips. Let me know in the comments. Okay, I'm interested to see what you're going to be doing. There we go. Okay, so I just want to show you what you're aiming for. Okay, is fine breadcrumbs. You see there's no larger lumps, it's very fine. Okay, no larger blocks of butter within. Okay, I'm going to give you another 30 seconds to a minute just to get up to this stage. Everyone's different, working at a different pace. Okay, that's it. So keep rubbing in. Excellent. That's it. Shake your bowl. Any larger lumps, then you can continue. If it's nice and fine, you'll just need your weighing scale back. Okay, there we go. Right, so now that we have got fine breadcrumbs, we are going to be adding in your sugar to start with. And for this recipe, it's 30 grams of sugar. Okay, so you can put your whole bowl on your weighing scales, just don't forget to put it back to 0. Okay, and measure carefully. Okay, a bit of added sweetness, and you'll get even more sweetness as well from your fruit. Okay, so let's have a look. 24, 30, perfect. So 30 grams of sugar weighing out, and you're now going to add in 50 grams of dried fruit, okay, or chocolate chips, or I'm using blueberries, whatever you decide to put in today. 50 grams, so press it back to 0, okay, and you can add in 50 grams. If you want to add more, okay. If you love a lot of fruit chocolate in your scones, add as much as you like, okay. So you've got your fine breadcrumbs, your fruit and your sugar all in one bowl. Then just using your hands, use our hands again, just mix all of those ingredients together, okay, just to combine it. If at this point, if you think I want to add more fruit, more chocolate, add it in, okay. It's your scones, your recipe, okay. So you can see I've got my fresh blueberries, it's all combined, okay, and it will be evenly distributed. I'll just give you another minute to get up to this point, so everyone's up to the same point together, okay. And at this point, if you want to wash your hands as well, we are going to be moving on to using a mixing spoon, okay, in the next minute. So if you need to go and wash your hands, go and wash your hands, or you could just pat off that flour. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to go quickly wash mine. I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now, we've got the breadcrumbs, we've got the fruit, we've got the sugar. We're going to start forming your scone dough. Now, to do that, you will need a measuring jug, okay, milk and an egg. Now, if you've not got an egg, you can do this recipe just with milk as well. So it's completely up to you. By adding egg, it just gives it an extra colour, an extra richness. Now you're going to need to measure out 100 ml of milk. If you're just using milk and not an egg, I'd measure out 150 ml. Okay, but for this recipe, I'm using an egg, so 100 ml. So let's measure that out. There we go. Now do try and go down to eye level, keep it flat on a table. Just make sure it's a little bit more accurate. Okay, and you haven't got too much liquid. That's it. Don't forget, if you have any questions on the sureties, comment below. Okay, and I'll get back to you. Right, so now we've got our milk measured out. We're going to crack in the egg. So I'm using just a fork or a spoon. Sometimes it can be a bit difficult to crack it onto plastic, so it just makes it a little bit easier. So I'm gently cracking, 2 thumbs in between, pulling it apart, okay, and your eggshell can then go in your bin. Using a fork, okay, just whisking those 2 ingredients together. Okay, I don't want to see the egg yolk and the egg white separate and the milk separate. We want it to be one liquid. So whisking, okay, spending a good 30 seconds, okay, whisking the 2 ingredients together. It will go quite a yellowy colour all together. You can see it through the measuring jug there. Okay. There we go. Just give it a good whisk, and then you put your fork just to your side. Okay, so for the next stage, you will need your bowl, you will need a mixing spoon, and your jug of milk and egg. Now, what I recommend, do not just pour all the liquid in one go, because some of it you will use to glaze your scones afterwards. So if you just start by pouring just a little bit at a time, okay, so you can see I've got a little bit of liquid there, and then start your mixing process. Okay, it will start to form a dough. So once you've mixed in that liquid, add a little bit more, and we're going to keep repeating that process. Okay, so mixing. There we go. Mixing. Okay, so at your own pace, adding a little bit, mixing, and then a little bit more. Okay, do not just be tempted just to pour it all in, okay? Otherwise it will cause a very sticky dough, which we want to prevent. Okay, so as you can see in the bowl, it's starting to come together. It's starting to form a dough, a soft dough. Okay, that's it. So use the back of the spoon as well. Push that wet dough into those dry ingredients, okay, to help it all combine well. Okay, I'm going to do just a drop more. There we go. Make sure you go all the way around the bottom of the bowl as well, okay, picking up any ingredient, okay, all of your breadcrumbs, all of your fruit. Okay, I just want to spend a second to show you exactly what's in my bowl. Now, it's not come together into a ball, but you can see it's clearly starting to come together as a soft dough. Now, although there are some breadcrumbs still at the bottom of my bowl, at this point, I'm not going to add any more liquid, okay? I'm going to see if there's enough moisture in that dough already, using my hands, to bring your dough into a ball. Now, if it is really crumbly, do add a little bit more of your milk and egg mixture. But if not, at this point, it should start forming a ball of dough. So just spend a minute just picking up all the breadcrumbs at the bottom of your bowl, pushing it down, okay, to help it stick. There we go. Just got a couple of more, so shake the bowl, okay, and you will have your scone dough. Okay, so what you'll see, I've got my scone dough. It's soft, but if I'm pushed down on it, it's not completely sticking to me. Now the texture's a bit like Play-Doh in a way, so not completely sticky, but soft. Okay, your bowl can then go to the side. So I'll just allow you just to get out to that point. I'll give you a couple more minutes. Okay, what I do just want to make clear is I have actually still got a little bit of egg and milk mixture. Okay, but we will be using that very shortly, so don't throw it away. It will be a glaze. Okay, that's it. So remember, pushing down in your bowls, pick up all the dry ingredients. If it's very crumbly and it just falls apart, a bit more liquid. Okay, that's it. Do let me know how you're getting along. Okay, if the pace of the class is okay for you as well. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my flour and just add a tablespoon, just sprinkle it all over the work surface in front of you. Okay, it will just prevent, when we pat down our scones, it's sticking to the table. Okay, so just spend a minute, spread out that flour. Okay, any dirty washing can go to the sink now. You're done with your spoon, you're done with your bowl. Okay, flip that dough over in that flour just to make sure it's not super sticky around the edges. Okay, put a little bit of flour on your hands if it's sticking quite a lot to your hands as well. You can rub off any excess dough. And then gently just start patting down. Okay, alternatively, if you want to use a rolling pin, you can roll out your dough as well. But I quite like doing it by hand. Okay, so gently pat down. Now, what I would like to say is we're not making biscuits, okay? So what I mean by that is don't be tempted to roll it out or push it down super flat, okay? You want some height to your scones, you want them to rise, okay? This is the thickness that I'm going to stick to, okay? So I'd say it's probably the thickness of a double burger if you're making a burger, okay? So looking at that, that's what you want to pat it down to a bit, okay? There we go, might just even go slightly, just like so. Now, once you have patted it out, we are going to start cutting out, okay? But I'm just going to allow everyone the opportunity to get to this point, okay? So just a reminder, we rubbed together the flour and the butter, we added your fruit, we added your sugar, and we mixed that all together, okay? So we had breadcrumbs, and then we mixed it together. We cracked an egg, okay? And milk into here, and a little bit at a time you started to combine your dough, okay, so it was no longer breadcrumbs, and we formed a to pat it out, okay, just like so. There we go. Right, you need to decide on your biscuit cutter. I'm going to be using a glass today. You can use smaller ones if you've got smaller. You can use bigger if you want big scones, okay? The amount of scones you make will depend on the size cutter you use. So what we're going to do, simply turn it upside down and push down on your scones, okay? Squeezing it, and then we'll be able to gently pull them out. Okay, so I've got quite big ones. These will rise quite a bit in the oven as well. Okay, that will then just go to the side for now. Okay. Just going to go wash my hands one more time. I'll be 1 minute because it's sticking. There we go. So what you want to do, keep repeating that process. Okay, so pushing down in your cutter, twisting as well, and then you'll be able to push it out. Okay, just loosen that from the suction of the glass. Oh, this one's sticking slightly. Just tap, there we go. Okay, if it is sticking, a little bit of flour might help if you are using a glass or a mug because you haven't got a biscuit cutter. Okay, just flour the edge as well. Use the flour that's on your table. Now, don't waste the dough, okay, that you've cut out from. Put it back together into a ball and repeat that process. Okay, so flattening it out. There we go. I'm just going to do a sprinkle more flour. Just stop it sticking. That's it, so re-flattening out. Okay, hope you're enjoying making your scones today. That's it. Try and make them as even in size as possible just for baking time. Okay, so I'm going to go one. There we go. And I'm going to bring that back together. There we go. Two. Tap on the table. And I'm going to come back with this one as well. Right, so use all of your dough. Don't waste any. Okay, there's no need to waste it. The more scones, the better. Okay, if you get to the last piece of dough, okay, and you're thinking, oh, I can't get my cutter, just hand shape it. Put it into a ball, put it on the table, and then just start shaping it with your hand into a round scone shape. Okay, just like so. Right. Do let me know how your scones are coming along, okay? I'd love to know how you're doing with them as I'm cooking with you live. I'll just give you a few more minutes. I know that could take a little bit of time, okay, to pat it down, cut it out, but repeating the process as well, okay? Don't forget, I am just following my recipe card that I posted on our Facebook groups if you ever want to make these again at any point, okay? And I think you might want to because it's a great recipe. Keep referring to that, okay? Let's take off any dough from my hands. just rubbing it gently. That's it. Remember, throughout the whole process you want quite cold hands, so if it is sticking, okay, run your hands under cold water. And I've mentioned that a couple of times, but it's really important when you're working with breadcrumbs and a dough. Okay, there we go. Right, so once you have got your scones, I'm gently going to place them, okay, onto a lined baking tray. If you've not got any grease proof, that's perfectly fine. Okay, and just like so. Okay, mine are quite big. If you go for a slightly smaller, you will make approximately 8 scones, but I went for quite a big cutter. Okay, I like quite large treats. All right, as an alternative, if you're thinking I love scones but sometimes they're a little bit too sweet, cheese and herb scones are great as well. So what you would do, you'd follow the same process but don't add sugar. Okay, instead you'll add mixed herbs, black pepper, and then you add in, instead of your fruit, grated cheese. Okay, and you've got like a cheesy savoury scone as well, which is excellent. Okay, now once you have lined your baking tray, you need to come back to your milk and egg mixture. Okay, do let me know if you want me to slow down at all, if you're not quite up to this stage. Okay, comment below. Okay, and we will slow down the process. Okay. Okay, but your milk and egg mixture, you're going to be using it as a glaze. Now it's always, it gives it a really good shine, a really good golden colour. Okay, now I'm going to be using a pastry brush. If you've got one at home, okay, it is great to use. If not, don't worry. What I would recommend, scrunched up piece of kitchen roll, and you'll be able to dab it in just like we do with the pastry brush. Okay, so dab it in that mixture, and you pretty much want to paint your scones, okay, or dabbing it with your glaze. Don't just do the top, do all the sides as well. Okay, be generous with your glaze. Okay, it will give it an excellent colour and shine once they've finished cooking. Okay, there we go. So really good, generous glaze on top and then around the sides. So repeating that for all of your scones. There we go. Excellent. Don't worry at this point if you've got like little bits of flour on your scones, the egg glaze will change that. Okay, there we go. So a good amount. No, don't worry if it goes on your baking tray. Okay, all the way down to the bottom of your scone or baking tray. That's it. There we go. So repeating the process. Good. There we go. Excellent. There we go. And my final one. And then I'll show you the generous amount of glaze that I've put on. Okay, because I think it really does make a difference. Just going to go over the others just one more time. Right, so if I just show you here, okay, you can probably actually see some of the glaze on the grease proof, and that shows how generous I've actually been with it. I want it to be golden, okay, I want it to have a really good shine, and that's the way you're going to do it. Now, if you don't glaze it at any point, if you're making them in the future, it will just be a little bit more of a dull colour. It won't affect the rise, okay, it will just be a bit more dull, it won't be as shiny, it won't be as appealing, but that is all. Alternatively, if you've not got the egg glaze, okay, milk, if you've done this recipe just by using milk, does the exact same thing. It's a glaze, okay. These will now go into the oven, okay, for approximately 10 to 15 minutes, dependent on the size of your scones, okay. They will rise. The way you're going to know if they're ready, they will rise and they will have a real golden colour, Okay, now I hope you've enjoyed making the scones with me today. I would absolutely love to see final products, so your scones out of the oven, okay, or any pictures you've got whilst you were making them. Tag us in it, upload it into our Facebook group, and hopefully I will see you very soon for another class. We will be back tomorrow with a little change on the scone. We're doing scone-based pizzas. Okay, so I'll get the recipe card up for that later on today. Hopefully as many of you will join us as possible like you have today. I hope you've had fun, and don't forget to upload your scones once they're cooked. Enjoy!